Phillies fans, the offseason is officially over. Spring training has started. The sun is shining, at least in Clearwater, and the fighting Phils are back on the diamond. That's the good news. The bad news, we were winless through the first 4 games, but who cares?
Yeah, back to the good news, Jake. It's spring training, and the results don't really matter, of course. We'll break down some promising spring training starts and what needs to be cleaned up before opening day for the love of Broad Street.
For the love of Broad Street, welcome back to the show. I'm Jake. That's Marshall. The dark times are over. Competitive baseball is back. Kinda.
Yeah.
But the bats are not where they should be. But on the bright side, a couple of exciting arms have come out of nowhere to have an early shot at a bullpen role with the big club. So, Marshall, want to start with the good or the bad?
I think we start with the bad and just get it out of the way, Jake.
Okay,
Let's just do it.
So the bad news is, through the first 4 games, we were hitting 171 as a team. It's not great, Bob. It's not great. We were 2 for 29 with runners in scoring position.
Yikes.
So it's not like we weren't getting them there. We were getting them there. They just useless when they were there. It wasn't great.
No, it was not great, to say the least. The only shining star or the only bright spot was seeing our boy Schwarbs back at the plate and making the most of his first opportunity of the season, getting back into his stellar form that he's been in for the past couple of years here. So, hey, maybe more of that to come, hopefully, when the season really starts in a little bit here.
Charlie Manuel used to have this saying that, like, spring training isn't hitting season. You got to wait for it to be hitting season.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm like hanging my hat on Charlie Manuel because, dramatic pan. The fact that we were hitting 171 through 4 games, again, it's spring training. I know, but still, 171 is atrocious.
It is really bad.
That's really bad. So maybe Charlie's right. Maybe we just need it to be hitting season. It's not hitting season yet. It must be pitching season still.
Hey, it's a warm-up, Jake. It's a warm-up.
Right.
We're just getting things going again here.
And I think that's where we got to go next because there is some good news. And that's that our pitchers actually look pretty good. And I don't mean like our starters because none of them have played yet. I mean these like random guys.
Yeah.
That, like, I have a confession to make, ladies and gentlemen. I don't, like, follow, like, single and double A very closely. I don't even follow triple A that closely.
Yeah.
So these guys that come out in spring training, it's, like, kind of like the first time I'm really paying attention to them.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, there's a couple of guys. Alex McFarland, for one. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see it because the stupid game was not broadcast. Thank you, Washington Nationals. But 13 pitches, 2 strikeouts, averaging 97.
On a fastball. That's pretty good.
I'd love more of that if we can get more of that play. So he's currently, according to the articles I've been reading, he's on track for a double-A start. But I gotta think if he keeps throwing like that, Marsh, he's not gonna be down there long, right?
No, and you would think, especially because of the change that's happened amongst the bullpen with the exit of Strom and, of course, the retirement of Robertson. You know, there are some question marks there. Of course, you've still got the tarantula back in the bullpen, but you're looking at starting to consider at least over the course of the season who can be our go-to guy if somebody goes down. Even, I mean, it might not be like, oh, he's starting now, as you say, or he's going to be in the bullpen now. But who can we trust? Who can we depend upon if there is some sort of lingering injury with one of these guys, and they have to make some rehab starts at a lower level and then pull somebody back up? Promising stuff from a guy that you don't know a whole lot about at this stage of his career.
Yeah, but so on that same track, bring in Seth Johnson, who, has yo-yoed back and forth between AAA and the majors. He's not, it's not like he's never played big league ball, but comes out throwing 100 in the
Hmm.
first spring training game, 99.9 registered on the gun, uh, averaging 98. Uh,
Right.
the Phillies have historically not been like the fireball team, right?
No.
Like we kind of prefer guys that control the zone, your Aaron Nolas, your Ranger Suarez, your Christopher Sanchez's. But then why not? You know,
Yeah.
let's have two guys that throw 98, 99. You know, and in front of Durantula, who obviously does that anyway. I just it's exciting to see, like, for the first time in a while, I have like this promising hope for the future of our bullpen that I haven't had. I don't know if I ever had it, Marshall. I'm not gonna
Yeah, that's
lie.
true.
I just felt like the entire I'm almost 30 years old. I can't remember a time when we had like a really lockdown bullpen. We had
No.
Billy Wagner there for a little, like on the back
Right.
end.
And
We had Brad
Lidge.
we
Yeah.
had Brad Lidge on the back end.
Yeah.
But like, do you remember who his setup guy was? Ryan Madsen, who was a starter that they
Yeah.
just turned into a bullpen arm. Now, granted, I know that's what happens to a lot of these guys, but point being, there's hope for the future of our bullpen, and we might need it. You know, Alvarado's it's his last year of his deal.
Hmm.
You know, Durantula's last year of his deal. We're gonna have to pay a lot of money to keep him, I would assume.
Yeah, I
So
think
it's good to
so.
have these guys coming up and playing well. Another one that kind of surprised me, another guy I had no idea about, Carson DeMartini. He now, granted, only 5 at bats, but he's 2 for 5, and both balls he smoked.
Yeah.
And with like Bryson Stott was just kind of not it last year, unfortunately. This would be like his successor, if I
Yeah.
had to guess. Um, so if he continues to struggle and we choose to move a different direction, another promising aspect coming up from the youth ranks, Marsh.
You don't feel real uncomfortable with middle infield right now, in general, I wouldn't think. But yeah, if there is a spot that is maybe a little bit of a question mark, it would be Stott. And I think that really comes down to his inability with the bat for quite a while throughout the course of his career. But he's still a good glove, and I think he's still got the ability to play at that spot. But competition, especially in this part of the season, I think it's important to have some of these guys realize, hey, if I'm not going to perform, there is somebody waiting in the wings that can really push people to reach new heights. As is the title of the famous Kelsey podcast. But this I thought was definitely encouraging again, and just goes to show the Phillies are trending, I think, in the right direction when it comes to the development side of things. And this is you talked about it, a guy coming out and throwing 100 miles an hour, and Seth Johnson. This is his opportunity to be seen, his opportunity to get his name out there a little bit, because he might be again relegated back to the minor league ranks once the season starts. If he flashes, though, if some of these guys flash, maybe they get a little bit more of a look as the season moves on.
And talking about guys that we want to see more of, I think Alec Boehm is one of those guys that we
Yeah,
can mention. Just a few hours ago, went 2 for 3, 2 singles, including a couple RBIs. So he looked really good in his first outing. He's another one that I think has to play well.
yeah,
Contract year for him. And obviously, I don't think I've ever heard of a Philly that's had more trade rumors swirling around
right.
throughout like the entire course of his stay here. You know, like it's just been since day one. Just well, we could trade Alec Boehm. What
Yeah,
about that? And it,
yeah,
and it not happening, which is funnier. Like the fact that he just kind of keeps kicking around. Like, oh well, we could trade Boehm. What would we get for Boehm?
yeah.
And it doesn't
We're
seem
not
like
gonna.
anyone wants him. You're right.
Yeah,
It doesn't seem like anyone wants him. But I kind of question that because he just the dude just hits.
he
I
does.
know he's had some shortcomings with the glove. I know he's not like your prototypical corner infielder in terms of the power numbers, but like again, limited sample size, but Bohm's hitting 750 right now. That's pretty good.
It's a good
Um,
start.
so again, listen, if Alec Bohm's last year in a Phillies uniform is him leading us to a World Series,
We'll take it.
I'll
Absolutely.
be completely fine with that. A couple of guys I wanted to mention too as we watch through the rest of spring training. Dylan Campbell, Felix Reyes, Dante Nori. Those are kind of they're not the top prospects, but like they're the ones to watch. The guys we gotta hope develop
Yeah.
if we want to have another like '08-esque homegrown roster.
Yeah.
None of them performing particularly well, unfortunately, thus far. But a lot of the physical tools are there, especially Felix Reyes. Felix Reyes, every time he swings, just looks like he's going to hit the ball out of the yard, which is it's an exciting kind of player to watch. Again, the contact hasn't been there thus far this season, but an exciting prospect nonetheless. And speaking of exciting prospects, I don't think we can talk about a spring training podcast without discussing Aiden Miller.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, coping with a back injury, so we haven't gotten to see him yet, which is a big disappointment for me, Marsh,
Yeah,
because
I agree.
he's one of the best ones we've had in a while in terms of a homegrown product.
Yeah. And you want him to get that exposure and that time now to the
I
big league game and in lead up to the season here when it doesn't matter as much and when you're just kind of trying to feel out who's going to be part of your rotation moving forward. So it's unfortunate that he's missing this time, but I guess you can look at it the other way and say, well, at least he's missing now and he might be back, in the future with some steady performances when the Phillies need it and when it matters. One of the other ones I was going to ask you about, Jake, what have you made of the question really at the center field position so far? Have you noticed any positional, shuffling here? What have you made of Crawford? What are you
I
thinking?
was gonna say Crawford's been playing the bulk of the time
Right.
that he's on the field. Obviously, he's not playing like the entire game, but he had three at bats in today's game, all in center. Made a really nice catch today too. I just my worry at the beginning of the offseason was, is that guy going to win you a World Series?
Yeah.
And I don't think so. But I think back and like what were all our alternatives? We had Brandon Marsh, who's
Right.
going to be playing left from the
Primarily.
looks of
Yeah.
it. From
Yeah.
the looks of it, it's going to start in left, so he's going to be out there anyway. Uh, I mean, and before him, Johan Rojas.
Rojas was the other one. Yeah.
Right now, I would take Crawford right now, completely raw, without any big league at bats over Johan Rojas. So in that aspect, we're ahead of where we started last year,
True. Yeah.
which I didn't think I'd be saying, but he Crawford you can tell is like that next level prospect.
Mhm.
I'm not saying he's going to be, you know, God's gift to baseball or anything, but it just everything looks so fluid. He doesn't look like he's pressing, which is weird for a young guy in spring training.
Yeah.
It just like he's letting the game come to him. He's fluid in the outfield. He puts together at bats too, which I like. It's like the opposite of Castellanos. Like he
Right.
goes up there with a plan,
Right.
not and that plan is not hack at everything that's anywhere near the zone.
That's true.
So I at the risk of sounding too optimistic, I like him. I really think again, I don't think he's going to win us a title by himself, but I just,
Right.
in terms of a steady guy that's going to play good defense, I think he's going to do more at the plate than Johan Rojas did. I like where he's at. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I have felt pretty confident seeing his at bats that at least he wasn't flustered by the moment and the gravity of what he's stepping into, right? This possibility of being an everyday center fielder in the major leagues here. I again, yeah, similar. His approach to the plate has been promising. I did like the catch in the outfield there. And that was the thing that we were looking at this, previous weeks and saying, hey, Johan's going to provide you flash when it comes to his defensive skills and his speed and those sorts of things. I don't think you're giving up a whole lot when it comes to the
Yeah,
comparison with Justin and Johan. I mean, they are close enough, right? Johan might have a little bit more speed than Crawford, but again, it's can they show up in the big moments? That's going to be Justin's question moving forward. This is one thing, right? We're in the spring training cycle. We're in the spring training portion of the season, and that can tell you some about what a player is going to be. But really, it won't be until we get into late April, early May time frame before we can really start seeing who this guy is. But again, I agree with you. I think it's a promising developments thus far, and probably was and remains to be one of the bigger question marks for this roster, a roster
Yeah.
that has needed consistency from outfield play, and has not gotten it in recent years, to be frank.
Yeah. And I envision him hitting nine,
Yeah.
which like lowers the pressure on him.
Hmm.
But at the same time, like if he can turn the lineup over a little more than Rojas was,
Yeah.
that's all we need from him, right?
He
We
just,
don't need
it's a
him to hit,
bonus, right? It's
right? We
kind of a
don't need him to
bonus.
hit 350. We need him to get on base. I'd like to see how good of a bunter he is. Because obviously, like you said, he's not Rojas fast, but he's very fast.
Yeah.
Stolen bases are going to be on the table, especially like if he's hitting nine and the pitcher's got to worry about Schwarber or Turner or Harper or whoever we decide to go with up there at the leadoff spot. It, as as much pressure as being on the big league ball club provides, he's going to have the least amount that you could possibly have. We
Right.
don't need you to win us games. We just need you to play good defense. Can you turn the lineup over once or twice a game and let the other guys win us ball games? And hopefully they can do that. Schwarber had a couple of good contact hits today. He didn't actually record a base hit, but he was putting the bat on the ball, which is kind of all you're really looking for in the spring.
Yeah.
Uh, so I'm not sure what the lineup looks like on opening day, but whoever is up there, I'm confident that, like I said, if Crawford can just turn it over once or twice, that's all we really need from him.
Yeah. The other thing, seeing Adolis Garcia for the first time in a Phillies
Right.
uniform, taking swings, that has been exciting to watch some of that. And he looks like he's ready to go. He looks like he's prepared for the season. I mean, I'm really anticipating the next few months here and what he's going to bring to this franchise. I think he could bring some energy, some attitude, and he has in previous clubhouses he's been a part of, and he's a proven winner, right? This is a guy who has that pedigree. So
Right.
what's next for him? We'll see in a Phillies uniform, but let's move across to the other side of the street, Jake, because there's some important
Yeah.
things happening there too.
Yeah. So we once again find ourselves needing to talk about AJ Brown because Nick Sirianni told the media this week that there's mutual interest between Brown and the team in continuing this thing we got going here in Philly, but he
Hmm.
quote can't guarantee, those are his words, that he sticks around. So Marshall, do we even want him to stick around at this? Like I'm getting sick of this. This is feeling TO-ish.
It
And
is.
and if he does end up leaving, like what are we even going to get for this guy who's clearly become a locker room problem? What do you think teams are going to be willing to give up for that?
I think the right team, like the Patriots, and this has been a team that has been floated for a long time as being interested
Right.
in an AJ Brown, would probably give up some maybe I would think a first round pick would not be off of the table in this case. But the question is, are they willing to take on all that additional money? When I'm saying they, I really am talking about the franchise that is going to pick him up, but also the Eagles and that dead cap space. I mean, you're
Right.
basically paying for a player who's no longer going to be on your roster. And the Eagles at peak have really revolved their offense has really revolved at times around AJ Brown and his ability to make those contested catches down the field. I don't think that the Eagles get to either of the Super Bowls, let alone win one, without AJ Brown in this lineup. I think we have to give him credit. And the years even that they did not make it to the Super Bowl, maybe absent last year when you could argue that the offensive coordinator was kind of a problem when it came to the results.
Kinda.
Yeah, a little more than kind of, but the years that were off years, he was still very, very productive. I mean, top five, top 10 wide receiver in this league. And I think he can still be dominant. The question is there a fracture when it comes to the perception of AJ Brown in this locker room and the perception of AJ Brown from the front office perspective? Because I think once you get to the point where you are deemed to be disrespectful to an owner in Jeffrey Lurie or disrespectful to Howie Roseman, and I'm not saying that that has happened yet, Jake. But once you get to the point where you're starting to separate yourselves from the rest of the organization, that can very quickly land you in hot water and make a team less willing to shell out more to keep you or to retain a contract that is already a very, very high number contract in this league. So I think personally, it's better to keep AJ Brown from a financial standpoint alone. And we've talked about this. I think even from a locker room standpoint, he can be a positive force. I like as many like arguments as he seems to have, or little sly things that he says in public. Like he still says the right thing more often than not when it comes to the cameras being on in front of him. And it seems like he's still cool with his teammates for the most part. Like you're not hearing reports saying that, he's a bad teammate, a bad friend, a bad person, right? You're just hearing that
Right.
he is disappointed with his level of play and his involvement in an offense that was not good when it came to the pass this year.
Yeah, again, when he was reading the self-help books, Marshall,
Yeah.
everything was great. If we can just get back on the self-help, I think there's something to be said here. In all seriousness, I don't really care about the money part. I know somebody does, like I'm sure
Yeah.
Jeffrey Lurie does, but
Yeah.
I don't. I purely look at like guys on the field, and I I think you're right in that AJ Brown is worth a first round.
Hmm.
I don't think we get that just because of the circus that has been revolving around him this season.
Yeah.
I think we get a second for him, and I just don't know that you could get a guy anywhere near as effective as him in the second round of this year's draft.
I agree. I totally agree.
So from that perspective, I'm all aboard the keep him train.
Yeah.
If to your point, it doesn't tip beyond circus as the phrasing I used. I I don't think I'm with you. I hadn't heard anything that like people in the locker room hate him
No.
or he's a problem in the wide receiver room or anything like
No.
that. It's just his stupid tweets. Like if we just take his Twitter away, we might be onto something, and we don't let him go on
Honestly.
podcasts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
True.
I think most of the issues are resolved. So yeah, I'm with you. I financial stuff aside, just keep him because he's good. If we have a better game plan, I think he might not be so annoying. And let's just go win another Super Bowl, and then you can leave. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, get one under your belt. But the thing that is a little concerning, and he has spoken about this before, but this is the thing that gives me some alarm bells, is even after that Super Bowl, it was like, well, that didn't really fulfill me. That wasn't like
Yeah.
so that almost speaks maybe to a little bit of the ego at play here. Every wide receiver in this league, let alone
Every good wide receiver.
every
Yeah,
good
right.
skill position player in this
Yeah.
league has
Has an
ego. So
ego.
let's
Yeah.
keep that all in mind. But if the ego isn't fulfilled by a Super Bowl win and it's only fulfilled by statistics, that is selfishness at play. I mean that's
Yeah.
what's happening. It's selfishness. Now, I also understand that he wants to be selfishly, and he'll probably admit that, a top tier receiver in this league and retain all of the, all of the accolades and awards and credibility that comes with that and could lead to, like this is kind of a guy who could be on that list eventually with a Jerry Rice and some of the
Yeah.
big names, a Randy
Yeah. Michael
Moss,
Irvin and
like in
yeah.
terms of winning, Jake, like he's only a Super Bowl or two removed from being in that category. I think when it
Right.
comes to production too, you could argue that others have been more dominant, but like T.O., does T.O. have a Super Bowl ring? Like That's
Right.
the question is what makes a wide receiver legendary? In his mind, it's not the rings, it's the numbers, which to an
Mm.
extent is true, but I think you can get there both ways if he's trying to build up his
Right.
pedigree.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder if AJ Brown and Saquon Barkley can coexist, right? Because like when we were good, we were running first.
Yeah,
And that just can't sit well with him.
right.
Because clearly, I kept saying last year, like winning solves a lot of problems,
It does.
but maybe for him it doesn't, which is weird being an athlete, just
Right.
because like I didn't play high level football, but I didn't really care how I played if the team won. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Yeah.
And then the flip side, I was a goalie in soccer. If I made 30 saves but we lost 5-0, I don't really feel very good about that.
No.
So it's hard to like wrap your head around if you're not high level me guy kind of athlete. But I will say I didn't hear him chirping much when we were winning the Super Bowl.
No.
He started chirping when we started losing a horrible comeback game to the Broncos.
Right.
So maybe winning will cure at least a little bit of the circus aspect of this, and we can all sing kumbaya and go win another ring.
But I think Jake, this most recent Nick Sirianni appearance, right, where there's this mutual interest, but he says he can't guarantee it. I think that might be more. We talk about PR, we talk about whatever. That might be more of a just
Right.
let's just smooth things over. We don't know 100% what's going to happen. He's just going to
Yeah.
pass it off like it's not going to
Stop
play.
talking about it.
Which is here's two things, Jake, that I want to say about this. One, that is first of all to give the impression to AJ, I think, and his agent that the Eagles are more than willing to come to the table and have discussions about bringing him back or retaining him. And number two, they're also not wanting to rule out the possibility that another franchise walks in the door with an offer that they cannot refuse for an AJ Brown.
Oh, interesting.
So I think it's kind of he's walking that line because I think the Eagles do want to have their ears open on this. Howie Roseman
Right.
is not afraid to take a deal, and he's not afraid to take a deal, Jake, on draft night. As you'll remember, he
That's
made
how we
a deal
got
to get AJ
him.
Brown on
Right.
draft night. So this is not over. The thing that I go back to though is AJ Brown's most recent comments on this, saying, "Hey, I'm excited about this offensive coordinator change. I'm excited about the
Yeah.
next season." Right? What he didn't say is, "I'm excited about playing for the Eagles next season." He said, "I'm excited for the
Right.
next season," but that there is positive. The change is good, and that's positive for the organization is what he was kind of alluding to there. I don't think that he would be. I know that there's reports that AJ and Jalen have kind of soured when it comes to their friendship a little bit, but I don't think that he would be, serving himself well to go to especially a lesser franchise at this stage of his career and separate himself from the likes of Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. Hopefully, we retain him and Saquon Barkley and Jalen. Like that's a core that can continue to win for a
Right.
while here. If he wants to be a part of that, now's the time to stay. But uh, this is where we start to get into this conversation, Jacob. Who's going to be here and who is not going to be here
Yeah.
in the 2026 NFL season for the Philadelphia Eagles as we approach the draft? Man, it's not that far away, honestly. It's coming
Oh
up.
yeah, combine's coming up. This is like it's a fun time. Like the football off season is so different from a lot of the other ones like because of the cap and because of the insane contracts the NFL guys get. You get this insane amount of turnover. Like let's think about the Phillies. We lost like two major contributors to our team, right? Out
Yeah.
of out of the 25-man roster.
Yeah.
We could lose. Now, we probably won't lose all of them, but we could lose like 20 guys.
Yes. A
It's
lot.
like a full starting offense and defense. If all of these guys go, they won't all go because I will say, how the heck did we end up with 14 million in cap space? By the way, where'd that come from?
I don't know.
Howie
Well,
Roseman,
it's
man,
got to be the structuring of Jalen's deal, Jake.
right?
That's what I think. It's just that we front load, and it's a strategy that other franchises are trying to replicate, and because it clearly has worked for the Eagles. You
Yeah,
pay
I
him up
just
front, give him incentive, and then stack the cash way down the line.
say what you want about the Eagles on the field performance, say what you want about the coaching, but like Howie, I just feel like he gives us an amazing roster year after year
Agreed.
after year,
Yeah.
and like as a GM, that's kind of all he can do, right? Like he just it does his job so well. So we talked about AJ Brown possibly leaving through trade. Let's talk about the more traditional route. And Marshall, there's a lot of impactful guys
Yeah.
on this list. So
Yeah.
we're gonna run through them here, but which of these guys that spring to the top of your mind have to be kept? Like no holds barred, must be kept. Pay him whatever he wants, kind of guys. Is there any of them?
I could see there are two names on here that I think you have to keep for sure. Number one, in my mind at least, is you got to try to keep Nakobe Dean. And that
Okay.
might
Yeah.
be an unpopular opinion because of the Jahad
The
Dotson
injury
or
history too.
sorry, Jahad Campbell, and
Yeah.
the injury history. But it was so evident that when Nakobe Dean was on the field, this was a better Eagles defense.
Sure was.
Hands down, this was a better Eagles defense. He was the captain on that field. I don't care who was wearing the green dot on their helmet, right?
Yeah.
He was the guy making the run stuffing plays, making the big plays in the pass game, covering people down the field. And I know that the injury stuff it's a concern, and I share that concern. But I also think that because of that concern, he's going to command a lower number than he otherwise would, especially considering he's coming off of a season in which he missed significant time once again.
Yeah.
So
The
I
numbers
think,
being down helps, right?
yes, and I think it's important to have good linebackers, especially in a division that is being stacked with better tailbacks. And really, these other teams in the division are trying to rebuild their lines as well. I think it's important
Yeah.
to keep Nakobe Dean. Number two for me, Jake, I want to keep Jalen Phillips. I think he is.
That's my number one.
Yeah, I think that he added a lot of energy to a squad that needed reinforcements on the outside when it comes to the pass rush, and he, although the numbers were not flashy, the impact that he made on the field was pretty immediate and
Yeah.
undeniable. I think that those are the two names to me that stand out right away. Down from that, I think I think Dallas Goddard would accept a team friendly deal. And I just would hate to see him go. I know that um, he's coming up on in a couple years, he'll be at his 10th year in the league, but his production, especially last year, was I mean, in terms of touchdowns, it was his best statistical season and the
He
best
broke a
statistical
record.
season for the
Yeah.
Eagles with 11 touchdowns. But he is just so consistent. His hands are always great, and it's hard to find really, really good tight ends. I know the Eagles have had a line of just really
Yeah,
good tight end,
we've
really
been
good
lucky,
tight end, really
haven't
good
we?
tight end,
Yeah.
but that is very rare. I think the Eagles could still build the other tight ends on this list. I think they're going to be, wave them goodbye. Kylan Granson is probably a goner to me. Calcaterra, I think, is a goner to me. But I could see the Eagles retaining Dallas Goddard and then trying to find a good number two to keep him. That's my perspective. The other guys on the list, I could take him or leave him almost. I think the other guy that you
Yeah.
could think of is Fred Johnson. As he was just so valuable as a utility guy throughout the course of the season because of the injury to Lane. And Lane again, we expect him to come back. All indications are that we've had is that he's coming back, but I would want a good backup in there, and he might come at a cheaper price as well. We'll see.
Yeah, I do want to bring to your attention. I don't know if you noticed this. We have all three of our starting tight ends all as free agents at the same time, which is
Yeah,
crazy. Like
yeah.
there is a reality when you bring back zero of them and you have an entirely new tight end room. I don't think that happens. But to your point, like from a tight end's one of those positions that has gotten so much better in recent years
Yeah.
to the point where I just feel like even Granson, who was our third string tight end, looked really good in preseason.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I mean I love Dallas Goedert and I hope he stays, but like if he comes in and asks for some crazy deal, I'd be like, yeah, get out of here because there's so many guys. I think Calcaterra could do the job, quite frankly.
I agree.
Um, and that's without looking at the draft. That's without looking, around the league for guys. Who was it? Was it the Browns that had like three amazing tight end, Joku, Fannin, and then there was another guy like
Yeah.
there are so many really, really, really good tight ends in this league that it stinks for them. But like, I don't know if you can demand a crazy deal. But if you could, if anyone could as a tight end, it'd be Dallas Goedert, considering he just caught 11 touchdowns. Um, but I'm with you. I think Jalen Phillips has to be number one. I would say Nakobe Dean two, only because of Jahad Campbell. I think
Yeah.
we have a guy in waiting if
Hmm.
Dean leaves.
Yeah.
We don't have a guy if Phillips leaves, or at least a guy that's going to meet that level. I think Jahad Campbell is like a 1B to Nakobe Dean's 1A.
Hmm.
I just don't think we have. When Jalen Phillips, to your point, when Jalen Phillips came in, we went from being a solid defense to an elite defense. We went from having zero pressure on the quarterback to having pressure from all sides because Phillips is getting double teamed, meaning that the other edge rusher,
Right.
Jalen Hunt,
Yeah.
was all of a sudden getting single teamed every single time. And
Right.
he's not an elite pass rusher, but he's a solid pass rusher and he was
Yeah.
getting home a lot.
He was.
So to your point, I love those guys that make everyone around them better. Phillips is that guy. And to your point, I think Dean's that guy too.
Yeah.
One person that I really want to give a shout out to here is Braden Mann. Um, I don't know where you get a punter that's as good as him.
That's true.
Uh, maybe through the draft. I don't know. I'm not up to I'm not up to date on punting scouting.
Yeah.
Um, but he won games for us last year, especially with our underperforming offense. 50 yards gross punt average last year, which is crazy. Uh, like top 10 hang time numbers also. The dude's just really, really consistent. And for a punter, that's what you need. Uh, I would prioritize him, especially because the beauty of the skill positions or the specialty positions, they don't cost a lot.
Yeah.
So give him his money, whatever that may be, and 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 to your point, a lot of these guys, I don't know if they will A, cost a lot, and B, if they feel like they need to go get another deal, you're not losing a ton. Jahan Dotson's one I want to bring attention to. Um, I feel like he's underperforming, quite
Hmm.
frankly.
Absolutely.
I feel like he's got more in the tank than we've seen.
Yeah.
And part of that's probably because he's got AJ Brown
Right.
and Devontae
He's
Smith in
not being
front of him.
utilized very, very much. Yeah.
Right. So like I'll miss him, but I also feel like it's probably better for him to leave
Yeah.
because he's too good to be a three behind those two incredible wide receivers.
Yeah.
And other than that, it's you're getting into three backup linemen's a little concerning. I don't know what you think about that. We got Johnson, who you mentioned, Matt Pryor, and Brett Toth,
Right.
all up,
Yeah.
which is a little concerning if you're talking about like the consistency of a room, especially now that our Lord and Savior Jeff Stoutland's gone.
Yeah, which is a big blow to take here.
Yeah.
I want to go to Jahan Dotson for a second, because I think you are letting a little bit of your Penn State bias cloud the judgment on him because I think he is underperforming maybe more than we would like,
Right. No,
especially
I mean compared to like his physical tools. You know
true,
what I mean?
true, true.
Like of course numbers wise, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
But the point being like when he was with the Redskins or excuse me, the Commanders, it was unreal. You're
yeah,
thinking that's one of the better number two wide receivers in the league.
right, right.
And then he comes to us and it poof.
Right.
So you're absolutely right. I didn't mean to make it seem like he's really, really good
Yeah.
for us. No, he's not. I
Yes.
think he's a talented wide receiver that we haven't seen the talent come out yet.
Right. You're talking about his potential, thinking he can do more, but
Right,
he hasn't
right.
really
There we
done that.
go.
I understand that, but I also want to, I acknowledge, and I acknowledge I have
Oh,
Penn State bias, and I'm sure you have Penn State bias too.
I have a ton. Ask anybody that's talked to me about Penn State football. I have a ton. Uh,
And guys who
but
come from Pennsylvania too, which is he is one of them.
true, true.
Um,
Yeah, he was a Nazareth pro. I actually covered him in high school,
yeah,
which
yeah,
is a fun little tidbit for Jahan Dotson, Nazareth Blue Eagle.
yeah, nice.
But yeah, 37 catches over 2 years. It's not great. I'll
Yeah,
give you that.
and the comparison that we have most recently is Quez Watkins, and his production was not great either. Also, the
Right.
question with him was, is he going to catch the ball? That wasn't necessarily the question with Jahan Dotson. It was more, are they going to throw him the ball, and if they
Right.
do, why?
Yeah, because
Almost
there's two other
because
guys that are better than
I
him.
mean, four other guys if you're talking about the tight end and the
Well,
running back too. I mean,
right, yeah,
there's
yeah.
at least
Yeah, that's a
yeah,
great point.
but even in the wide receiver room, I understand. Like there are two
Yeah,
other better guys to throw to. So I think that yes, he is probably not a priority to re-sign, and the Eagles might want to give a guy like Darius Cooper a shot to be
right.
number three, especially because he's a cheap option, and they're going to need to cut in some way to make sure that guys on this list get paid. Another guy I think is important and maybe unsung here is Reed Blankenship. I think
Yeah, for
losing
sure.
him would be a kind of catastrophic and seismic shift in the back end of this defense because he has just been steady. I mean, he is instinctive. He breaks on the ball well. He's made some big time plays. Going back to really his rookie season against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, you just that breaking on the ball, making an interception, going to the ground, sort of a thing. He's has a knack for that, and I think he's been pretty solid in the run as well, being going up and being a run stuffer. And this secondary at safety is going to be a question mark. I mean, Marcus Epps is the other guy who's a safety, and he stepped in to make some starts when Andrew Makuba went down, but that's an unproven safety room now. If you're
Yeah.
losing Blankenship and you're losing Epps here, which is a possibility, I would think that Blankenship would not command an incredibly high number given his undrafted status, and he's played well for the Eagles, but he hasn't been a flashy player for the
Yeah.
Eagles.
I think we benefit from the fact that I think Eagles fans know how good he is. I
Yeah,
don't know if you're a guy who likes the Chicago Bears, if you know how good Reed Blankenship is, you know what I mean? I don't
right.
know if he's on your radar,
Yeah.
which is good for us,
Hmm.
because I don't think there's going to be like a big clamoring for him like I think there would be for Dallas Goedert, like I
Yeah.
think there would be for Jalen Phillips.
Right.
I almost didn't mention him because I just kind of assumed he'd be back, quite frankly. Like they made him a captain for the first time last year.
Yeah.
Epps, I think, unless Epps gives a very team friendly deal, I think he walks. He just makes some just boneheaded decisions on the field. I
Yeah.
like him,
Yeah.
but I don't see us prioritizing him at all. So I feel like Reed might be the first one they go to because they think it's going to be a good team friendly deal that works for both sides. Like I said, I don't think there's a clamoring for him outside of maybe the NFC East because I'm thinking if you're like a Cowboys fan or a Giants fan, you see him
Right.
play enough that you go, oh, like that
Yeah.
dude can play.
Yeah.
I I hope he wouldn't betray us for another NFC East team. I don't think he's that kind of guy. Um, and we also benefit from the fact that he's from Alabama.
Yeah.
So it's not like there's like I guess maybe the Tennessee Titans, but like there's no like hometown
True.
really close connection
Yeah.
that he
I gotta
is
play
like
here. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. I don't think he has that. So
Maybe the
again, that
Jacksonville
benefits.
Jaguars or something. I don't know.
Does anyone really feel that way about the
I don't
Jaguars?
know.
I don't mean to take a shot. I mean that legitimately. Is anyone like, oh, it's my dream to play for the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Right.
I
I
don't know
doubt it
anybody
too.
like that. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, so the only guys we haven't really mentioned on this list, AJ Dillon, who was a healthy scratch a couple times. He had some injuries, problems in the past,
Mhm.
before he came to Philadelphia.
I don't expect him.
Um,
His playing time was cut so significantly once
right,
Tank arrived, and you've got
right.
Will in the backfield too. I don't expect him to be back at
Yeah.
all.
And another one we haven't talked about, Adoree Jackson. Um, I, if you would have told me in week 5, like Adoree Jackson's not coming back, I would have thrown a party
Yeah,
and I would have invited everyone listening.
yeah,
But now I'm kind of going, we kind of figured it out toward the end of last year. Um, we have like, remember how we signed like 4 corners right around
yeah,
the deadline?
yeah.
I Some of them have got to go, right? Because like I don't think we're gonna go into a new season with 7 or 8 corners,
No.
like we have right now. So somebody's got to go. You just wonder if maybe they say, "Thanks, Adoree, we appreciate it, but we have 3 other guys in here that we brought in. We're gonna see what we got with them." I'm not sure.
I think a corner is going to be selected in the draft. I think that the Eagles have to go corner
Oh
in the
yeah,
draft and have to rebuild that room a little bit. Although there's DeJean and there's a Q on the
Quinion.
outside.
Yeah,
That is a solid base, of course. But again, it's going to come down to what does safety look like because you've
right.
been playing a lot of nickel, you've been playing a lot of Cooper DeJean in the slot there, but he can slide back to safety if we really need that to happen. I think Vic was good about switching up the coverages to help Adoree out through the course of the season, but it was clear they were favoring him a little bit, right? They were always bringing a guy into his side of the field. They were always making sure that he was, helped over the top. They started doing things to baby him in a sense so that they wouldn't get burned, knowing that he had the chance to be burned. And to the defense's credit, and to Dory's credit, it cleaned up a lot. It did. He
Yeah,
he played much better, but it was, I think, more like understanding that this guy was not going to necessarily be able to win one on one or shut people down one on one as often. Um, that the defense had to make an adjustment. I think they want a guy who can go out there and go toe to toe in man or in zone, playoff coverage, be confident enough to make a break on a ball, be confident enough to, sprint 40 yards down the field. They need to get younger at that position because it at his age, right? It's that steep drop off can be immediate. I mean,
yeah.
it can really go from
We
this
saw it with
guy's
James
a
Bradbury,
we
right?
saw it with
Like,
Bradbury, and to an extent, you saw it. I think not as quickly, but you saw it especially late in Darius Slay's career with the Eagles. And I don't know that he's going to play
Wolf.
football again.
I was gonna say you saw it with the Steelers this year. I
Yeah,
mean, that he was just not the same guy
yeah,
that was wearing an Eagles uniform winning a Super Bowl.
yeah,
And again, like it's kind of the dark side of front office management, but like Howie Roseman identified that, said no, he's not coming back
yeah,
because I don't know if it was something that they saw in the numbers. I don't know if it's something that they saw, just on tape, but someone identified that like that was Slay, that was the last of Slay.
right,
And you wonder if that's going to happen to Jackson too, if they just say, thanks for your service, see you later.
right,
The other thing I want to bring up, you know, Jalen Phillips is on that list,
right,
but aside from him, Ojulari, Okoronkwo,
yeah,
Uche,
right,
all on the list with him.
yeah,
So, I mean, someone's got to be our edge rusher. So Jalen Hunt will be back. So he'll lock up one spot, but we are one of those infamous teams that run that DN rotation
yeah.
where we're constantly flinging guys in and out. You got to think at least a couple of those guys come back because if not, you're looking at an entirely new edge rush room, which I think is a little daunting going into a year where you're trying to have a bounce back year.
Yeah, I think so too. You could see some of these guys again commanding low dollar amounts. I think Ojulari wouldn't command all that high of a figure. Uche wouldn't command all that high of a figure. But I also know that Howie is always building when it comes to adding youth into the rotation. If he didn't feel like these guys were making a significant impact, which it's clear he did not because he went out and signed Jalen Phillips and
Right.
traded for Jalen Phillips, then I don't know if he's going to give them the vote of confidence moving into a new football season here. I could
Yeah.
see again, let's get younger, let's get cheaper, let's see what we've got in some of these prospects that are coming out, and he hits at times on undrafted free agents. Blankenship is an example of an undrafted free agent that he hit
Right.
upon. So it's what does he see in terms of the crop of edge rushers and linebackers that are coming out of the draft, and is he willing to make a move and get off some of these guys that really didn't? I don't think any of those three names, Ojulari, Okoronkwo, or Uche, made that much of an impact on this team last year, to be frank.
Yeah, yeah, especially in the stat column.
Yeah.
But I was talking about tight end being one of those positions where there's so much depth in the college ranks. Edge rusher has a ton of depth in the
Yeah.
college ranks. So if you use a draft pick, you can get a guy that's ready to impact the game now. And to your point, like it's probably one of the biggest positions where guys get left off the draft board that are really, really solid. Because you got to remember, every high level D1 team has at least two of them, if not three or four,
Yeah.
and they're all just freaks of nature athletically. So that is definitely one where I think if to both of our points, if we sign Jalen Phillips, you can kind of fill in the gaps after
Yeah.
that because you have Phillips and Hunt to build off of.
Hmm.
Then you can go get some young guys from the college ranks and go from there. Last guy we want to talk about it here, and it was a moment where we all should have known the writing was on the wall, Marshall, which was the opening kickoff of the 2025
Oh
season
boy.
when
Yeah.
when Ben Van Sumeren tears
Oh
his
boy.
ACL, and we all just should have went, well, that's it.
I
We
think
should just
that,
give up
yeah,
because
bad omen
because
right there.
yeah, like what kind?
Sign of things to come.
Because it's not like Ben Van Sumeren wins football games by himself, but he's one of our best special teams guys. He's our
Yeah.
fullback.
Yeah.
And when you lose a guy, again, not an integral cog to the machine, but a cog,
Yeah.
and he goes down on play one, the first play of the season, we should have known the writing was on the wall.
I totally agree.
But he is a restricted free agent, which means we have first dibs, and I feel like we should just re-sign him just for pure like curse avoidance at this point. Like come back healthy, and the bad juju that was cast upon us last year might be fixed.
I agree. And everything that we heard about him and we saw from him prior to that kickoff was very promising. And in fact, the Eagles, I
Yeah.
think, were excited to go into a season and have him be their lead blocker in front of Saquon Barkley. And I'm sure that they had designed some packages to utilize him in.
Yeah.
And so that I think was the start of maybe the dissolving of the offensive
Yeah.
run production is losing him on the first play, and he's like just looks at the camera. He's like, "You got to be kidding!" He just looks at
Yeah,
his
because
coach,
he
like, "You
knew.
gotta be-"
He knew
Yeah,
too, which was crazy.
yeah,
What another guy I want to in that same vein I want to mention that we didn't before. Johnny Wilson. Had an incredible preseason.
yeah,
Was looking really good in camp. Tears his ACL.
yeah,
He will, I'm assuming, be back this next season.
yeah. I would think so.
So you question how effective he's going to be when he comes back. Is it going to be the same guy? But if so, maybe you don't need to bring back a Jahan Dotson or one of those tight ends. He's kind of one of those hybrids, like a Kyle
Hmm.
Pitts type guy,
Hmm.
that he's just so enormous. I think he's 6'7".
Yeah,
That you don't really know what to do with him when you're a defense. Do you put a safety on him? He's too big. You put a linebacker on him. He's too quick.
yeah.
If he comes back firing, maybe one of those, problem signings gets a decision made for them. But again, that a lot of work between now and then, I'm sure in his rehab.
Yeah, and that's going to be the question: is what do they look like on the field as we move closer to the
Right.
that decision point. I think that they're probably going to be looking at Ben saying, "Hey, what can you get back to here?" And I think the same for Wilson. Obviously, Wilson is going to be here for a little, and he's got because I believe he's still on his rookie deal, and he's going to be
Yeah,
here
he
for
is.
a couple more years. So
At least 2 years, yeah.
and I liked what I saw from him, catching that touchdown against the
He looked so
Cowboys.
good,
I
yeah.
mean, I think that is some untapped potential. Unfortunate that he has had this injury to set him back, but I would say the same thing for Ben Van Sumeren, a guy who, let's remember, was playing linebacker in this league, and then
Right.
they created this position to try to better utilize his skill set. And the NFL is always transitioning and evolving, and they're trying to figure out how to best put their positions or the players in positions to get an advantage. They saw Ben Van Sumeren as a person there they could get advantage out of. So I'd be curious to see him back on the field, and I kind of think he will be, Jake. That's my feeling.
I sure hope so. Both him and Wilson, because you hate to see really promising guys, go down with injuries like right before they're about to break through. And I
Yep.
felt like both of those guys were right there, and it was taken away from them like right at the point where they were about to really make a huge impact. So hopefully they're back. Hopefully they sort out kind of this puzzle that Howie Roseman's having to put together right now in terms of who to bring back, who to let walk away. How do we utilize that 14 million in cap space that came from the sky, I guess.
Yeah.
And yeah, just put the best team on the field for Nick Sirianni and company to go win another Super Bowl ring with.
That's the hope. It is an exciting time, Jake. We didn't talk about it, but the World Baseball Classic is approaching, and some Phils are
Yeah.
in that. So exciting to watch some real live, pseudo meaningful, I guess, at bats coming
More
up.
competitive than spring training, right? And fresh off the U.S. hockey double Olympic gold.
Let's go.
It's going to be nice to see the red, white, and blue in uniform again in a much warmer sport. And yeah, I'm excited for it. 1 week till that. Pray to the injury gods for to leave us alone. Especially
Please.
Harper, Brad Keller, and Kyle Schwarber. But everyone playing for that matter. Nola's pitching for Italy. Stubbs is
Mm,
playing for Team Israel. So a lot of Phillies going to be represent a lot of different countries out there. It's going to be fun.
it is. And we will be here to cover it all as we move towards the start of the Phillies season in a very short amount of time, Jake. It is approaching. We will
Yeah.
be here for it all for the love of Broad Street.